We've learnt how food webs show all the interactions between plants and animals in an ecosystem. So food webs show the interactions, but these interactions don't stay the same all the time. And what we're going to look at here is how a food web can change. So let's think of one situation where we'll look at this lanternfish here in the food web, which we can see it eats the plankton, so it's a first order consumer. So let's say here that there is a disease that goes through the ecosystem which kills many of the lanternfish. And if this happens, then their numbers are going to be reduced. And we'll show that with a negative sign. So if the lanternfish numbers go down, if the population size goes down, that means that the plankton that used to be eaten by the lanternfish, they won't have as many predators anymore. So the plankton numbers will increase in number. And then this means that other species that are also first order consumers, like the blind lobster, the salps, and the shrimp here, they're going to increase in number too, because they all have more food to eat, which is the plankton. Then if we look higher up the food web, the eel and the squid and the viperfish, and this fish here as well, they all used to eat the lanternfish. So if there are fewer lanternfish, suddenly these second order consumers will have less food to eat, and their numbers will probably go down in the ecosystem. And then looking up even higher, if those species have gone down, then the third order consumers, their numbers will probably go down as well. All because the numbers of the lanternfish changed in the ecosystem. So now let's look at a different situation where one species increases in number instead. So let's look at the viperfish here in the middle. In this situation, the viperfish might have had a good breeding season, and there are lots more viperfish now in the ecosystem. And again, let's look at all the different animals in the ecosystem and see what the effects will be because of this increase in viperfish. So firstly, if there are lots more viperfish, the things that the viperfish eats will reduce in number. So the lanternfish will go down, and the plankton will go down, because they're the two things the viperfish eats. And then we'll look above the viperfish too. So if there are lots of viperfish now, suddenly the lighthouse fish, which eats the viperfish, it will have lots more food, and its numbers will probably increase in the ecosystem. But then also looking at the animals that eat the plankton, so the first order consumers, the lobster, the salps, and the shrimp, they will probably go down in number as well because they have less food to eat in this case. So we can see that even if just one species changes in number in an ecosystem, there are lots of possible effects in the food web that can happen. So the overall message is that changes to one species can affect lots of other species. Changes in one species affect many others.